Obeah for the Obeah Man by Paul Ray. The story is told of a woman who wanted revenge after her husband leave her for another random woman, so she decided to go by the Obeah Man to cast a spirit on her husband, but the spell fall on the Obeah Man himself. But the story begins like this: hey, but Matilda was a miserable woman when she was younger, or perhaps the most confused woman in St. Victoria. She always grumbling about everything possible when you go to her shop to purchase something, instead of making herself busy and dispatching you, she telling you all her problems. Just like if you asked her something like the fowls wouldn't lay eggs, the rain won't, she got sick and can't do the laundry, people stealing her fruits, and all her problems like that she bring up to you. It looks to me like she used to take them up as she go along, and she always says that she going and look for an Obeah Man for all those who interfering with her. But who do you something, Susie asked her. Matilda replied saying, Susie, why you always so miserable? So then said, who you want to set Obeah for? Matilda replied saying, hush your mouth, you think you is the onlyest person in the world that has problems. All that talking you talking is bare nonsense. Susie then replied saying, if you ask me, I will say it is all your sins catching up with you. Why you don't join a church? Ask Susie. What you want is the Lord, but all Matilda do is grumbling mornings till night. It got so that it made everyone avoid her. Then when they stop going to her shop, she threatening everyone with her Obeah talk, and everyone stated to say like she going mad. Well, around this time they had a man named Mr. John who had say he was in love with the said Matilda, but when he see how stupid she gets on, he say he isn't there anymore and that he finish with her. When he told Matilda that she behave like a mad woman, she exposed him to the whole of St. Victoria. She say how he is bad and that he come to her hungry and she made him fat, and she gave him money to a shoe and all the shirt he wearing it came from her, and that she did so much for him, and now he walking around the city telling people how he finish with her and that she mad. And then she say something that sounded funny to me. She said, wait and watch, she is going to set him up with a woman from St. Victoria. But when a man got fix up with a woman from St. Victoria, they never get unfixed. But Mr. John, like he didn't care much, in fact he went and got engaged to a girl named Louise Holder, and it is here the problems start. Matilda say that the two of them could get married, but only over her dead body. But the way I see Mr. John and Louise going on, it looks like Matilda going soon die. Anyways, Matilda went to see Richard the Obeah Man. She used to live up the hill at the top near where the road branch off the St. Jude's. They say that he does do a thriving business with the Obeah thing, but I can't say about that because I had no calling to go there. But all I know about him is that he is the onlyest man in St. Victoria who refused to wear a shoe on his feet. He always walks around bare feet because he say that he does get power from the earth in that way. Will, when she arrived at Richard's place, she had a smile on her face. I know you would have come, says Richard the first. No, you been having some troubles lately. Tell me what you want me to do, asked Richard. Matilda replied saying, is that woman Louise Holder. She wants to marry Mr. John and everyone knows that he belongs to me, that is all. The Obeah Man asked with a look of disappointment on his face, you ain't want anybody to be killed or anything, you ain't want anybody bewitched or anybody teeth fall out nor make somebody get their neck broken. I is a man that does take pride in doing my job. Well, don't kill anybody yet, said Matilda. Well, all right, says Richard, but I would really like to work properly on one of them. So what you're going to do now, asked Matilda. Well, don't worry, it is a simple problem. Every day one you got money, asked Richard the Obeah Man. Well, I got $15, said Matilda. Make it $20, said Richard. Good, now you leave everything up to me. Now, say Richard, all you had to do is get 3 large stones and throw it on top of Louise's house at 12 o'clock Wednesday night. I am going to do the rest, and remember $20 is only the down payment. So that made Matilda gone home grumbling about her money. Anyway, the Wednesday night she gone around behind Louise Holder's house and threw the large size stone on top of the house, but she saw a chair behind the house, so she decided to wait a bit to see what's going to happen. A few minutes later she heard Ms. Louise screaming for murder. Now while Matilda was sitting, she saw me John came out with his torchlight and started to spotting it all over. Now she was looking for a large size stone was to throw at him too, but before she could have gotten one, Mr. John caught sight of her, so she had to run away. She could have run fairly fast, but Mr. John threw a stone and it got her on her ankle, and that slowed her down a little, and way she managed to get away before Mr. John could have recognized her. When Matilda went back to Richard the Obeah Man the next morning, Richard looks at her swollen ankle and said, so you got your foot swollen, who did that to you? As Richard, you think Louise went to another Obeah Man for you, it ain't nothing. So Matilda replied and explained what happened to her. Then Richard say that it have some people that DT know what is good for them they ly opening their mouth and taking when someone is trying to help them, and he say that Matilda had no right to sit and wait to see what is going to happen. He then said I should have helped you more, and if he didn't have such a forgiving nature he would have forgotten about the whole situation. Richard then said that she ungrateful because she getting his service at a reduced cost, causing she had to only pay $31 more. The Obeah man could have grumble as good as Matilda. But I came to know what's happening with Louise. Matilda say give the spirit a little time more. Girl said the Obeah man, and give a little more money too. I hate to purchase a special materials to work on this thing and don't worry about anything at all. So Matilda give a $5 more and head back home waiting to hear what's going to happen with Louise. Well, a couple nights later Louise heard a knocking on the door and a voice calling and saying let me in, let me in. Who is that? Shouted Louise. Is your husband the devil? And Louise started one hard screaming and hollering. The next morning Louise found a bottle with feathers in it and she was afraid, but when she told me John he wasn't at home that said night, Mr. John laugh it off and take the bottle and break it up very fine. The next night he sprinkled the bottle on the doorstep when the voice holler. The next night Mr. John told Louise not to take notice, and few minutes later they heard someone dreamed ouch ouch. When they went out they saw blood on the doorstep where the person has their feet cut on the glass bottles, and from that night they never heard anything more. And all this time Matilda waiting and waiting. Then one Sunday night Matilda got caught in a hard shower of rain right outside the Holy Brethren mission house, and she was to get in for some shelter. She got in just when Pastor Pooler preaching about the wickedness in St. Victoria. He said he keeping an eye on certain people in the village, and especially on a certain woman who feels that she could fly in the face of God and bring Obeah against his choose people. And he explained in Judgment Day the self-said spirit that those people will be dragged to the lake that burneth with fire and brimstone, and say a lot of other things more that strike home at Matilda's heart. Matilda in the congregation feel Pastor Pooler eye on her, and she was afraid, so she fell down and start one big crying and asking for forgiveness and begging to be accepted in the church. It is amazing how somebody could get changed so fast in such a short time. Matilda ain't vex up no more. She isn't quarreling with anybody. She is very happy and singing plenty hymns, and everyone saying she's so bad after all. Everyone that is accepting to the Obeah man. And you must know the worst thing that could happen to a Obeah man is for one of his good costumer to gone and get converted. So one morning Richard went down at Matilda's house and remind her that she still go at $30 for him. But Matilda say $30 for what? I ain't having nothing more to do with you and all the foolishness you getting on with. Do you understand that I changed? I ain't having anything for you, and I don't care no more about Louise and Mr. John if they get married. And Richard feeling a anger rising in him, his eyes turn red and hard, and he shake his fist at she and say all right, you watch it, you wait and see. I planning something for you. I'll going to show you that nobody don't cross Richard like that. And he went off. Now Matilda uses rice every day as God send, and every morning she sit underneath her tamarind tree in her backyard to shell peas she was going to use that day. Now that give Richard a idea. He sit down and learn everything he needs to know about Obeah. Then he get up and mix a lot of things in a little pot, and he boil the mixture, and when it cooled he say a lot of strange words over it, and he cursed Matilda's spirit till it started to foam at the top of the pot. And that said night, it was Thursday, he creep in Matilda backyard late and climb on the tamarind tree and balance the little pot carefully on a branch in such a way that if anyone sit under the tree brace backwards the pot would fall on them. And then he climbed down quietly looking up at the pot and rub his hands together and say wait till she sit down under the tree. And he went back home feeling very happy. But what happened that Friday morning? Matilda heard a knocking on the door. When she looks out she saw her brother who just came back from England, where he was working with the transport, and she holler, but God bless my eyesight, Ryan, is really you? I seeing Ryan, you're back. And calling to her neighbors excited, hey Doris, Velda, Miss Braffith, look who's here. Is Ryan came back from England. Well, she was so excited that day she forgot about cooking. She didn't remember about rice and peas at all, so when she see how late it was she ran down to me Simpson's shop for some corned beef instead. Now who happens to be inside drinking rum at the shop was the Obeah man himself. He wasn't a drinker, but he went there celebrating, thinking the trap had caught Matilda, and he was waiting to see the hospital ambulance came to pick up Matilda. He stare at her with his eyes wide open. He can't understand how she's still looking normal and healthy. He couldn't have made a mistake by this time. She should have had sores on her skin and her teeth coming out, and she should be itching all over and scratching her skin. So he left Matilda inside the shop buying things, and He rush up at Matilda's house as fast as possible so as to get there and leave before she gets back. He gone around the house and out by the tamarind tree, and he stop and look up to see if the pot was still there. When he saw the pot was still there, he got mad. He started to curse, pull his hair and stomping his feet and dancing about, and while he carry on like that he bumped into the tree and break out 2 of his front teeth, and the pot fell on him with the spell/mixture he had made for Matilda. But when the pot fell he started one big screaming. This time Ryan inside the house looks out and see Richard the Obeah man jumping about. Ryan called out to him saying, "Why you are in my sister backyard?" But Richard only holding his mouth and jumping about all over the place. "What you want, man?" shouted Ryan. But Richard, feeling the mixture of everything he put in the pot, so he didn't have time to answer. He took off with a speed down the road like a streak of lightning to put some Obeah on himself so as to break that spell. But after that day no one ever see the Obeah man again. The end.